We're good.
Yo, guys, what's up? Welcome back, GTS. Sorry, it's been a long day. I promise. I showered. It just doesn't really look like it right now. But today we're going to talk about the speed ladder and yeah, how everyone basically does it wrong. A lot of times on the ladder, I see the athletes, no matter what sport, tennis, football, ice hockey, anybody, everybody, they're doing it like this. What isn't necessarily a bad thing if they're with their coach. For example, let's take tennis. When someone's hitting the tennis ball, they're obviously hitting the last 10% of their movement is coming to small steps, so they can deaccelerate, time the ball, and hit it. The two guys standing behind the camera are baseball players, so it's also the same for them. When they're throwing that ball, they take a couple small steps before they throw the ball. So working on your small steps is important, but if you always work on your small steps, you never work on the other 90% of the movement, which is getting to the ball. Again, baseball players, they don't run to the ball like that. They run to the ball athletically, and once they get there, they pick up the ball and they throw it. Same thing with tennis players. I hope to God they're not running on the court like this. They're running on the court like a true, hopefully, athlete. And when someone runs, hopefully you can get all this in the camera. I'm going to pretend like here I am, a tennis player, and I'm left-handed to a forehand that I have to run to. I don't move like this. I first either open up like that, or I open up like this. But if you take this movement and freeze it and rotate me up, I'm basically at a 90-degree angle, which is why we call this a functional 90 degrees. So when you're on the tennis court, on the baseball field, yeah, basically anywhere, if you're with your coach, working on the small feet is totally okay. But when you're doing fitness on your own, or you're with a strength coach, you should really be working on the high knees. Because I always say the small feet of the movement, no matter if it's tennis or baseball or, God, I can't think of any other sports right now, but whatever it may be, it's usually the last 10% of that movement. Where here, we're working on the other 90% of that movement, getting you there. If you have a beautiful arm and you can throw a great baseball, it doesn't matter if you can't get to the ball that's been hit. And same thing in tennis. If you have a fantastic forehand, it doesn't really matter if you can't get there to hit the shot. So we need to work on the actual movement, which is why when I say the functional 90 degrees, rotate around over here, Chris, what we want to look for is instead of working on the small feet, we want to see the high knees. So this one is obviously 2 feet in each, but you can see that my knees are coming high and my arms are moving. God gave us arms for a reason. Use them. I hate seeing people like this or the one frozen arm syndrome. Use your arms to help accelerate your body, because then when you're playing your sport, you're going to use your arms to accelerate yourself also. There's nothing worse than seeing a tennis player on the singles line, going to the other singles line, and he's running like that. If you're running the whole court, let go of your racket and move athletically. And that's what this drill will help. Use yourself athletically, no matter what the drill is. Move those arms. Let's see as I forget everything I'm supposed to say here. Okay, next one. This is a bit more specific for you lacrosse players, tennis players, and yeah, I think that's about it. Field hockey players, I don't know. But if you have a racket in your hand, or a stick in your hand, or anything in your hand, hold it correctly. I get so tired of seeing the tennis players hold their racket head down, or lacrosse players hold it by the lacrosse head. If you're going to be doing a drill, hold the racket or the lacrosse stick or the field hockey stick, whatever it is, correctly. Because when you're running on the field, or running on the tennis court, you need to be able to run and hit that ball, run and hit that backhand. So hold your sport-specific item correctly, all right? Don't hold it in a way that you would not be holding it within the match or the game. And then, let's see here, high knees, hold the racket. Last one, movement on a drill. One of the drills here, hopefully we haven't been going for like 20 minutes. One of the drills here we do, as I'm sure all of you done before, is in, out, in, out. Again, we would bring the athlete into high knees, both coming in to the ladder and out of the ladder. So we would see This is also one, we see the frozen arm syndrome, where they're like, or we see the feet switch. If you start this drill going to the right, decide if you're starting with your right or you're starting with your left, and keep that decision. Don't start with your right, accidentally take too many steps, and continue with your left. Because when you start making those mistakes on the ladder, these are the mistakes you're going to make on the court. Again, let's go back to tennis. If you're going to hit the ball and you say, you know what, I'm going to hit this forehand open stance, and you're allowing your neuromuscular system to make these mistakes in training, you're going to do the same thing in a match. You're going to say, okay, open stance, and you're going to be hitting it closed. So don't allow yourself to make the mistakes on the ladder that you don't want to make on the court. If you say my right foot is first when I go down this direction, and my left foot is first on this direction, keep that decision and make sure you don't screw it up. And if you start noticing you're messing it up, fix it so your nervous system learns the correct motor pattern and keeps that motor pattern. Alright? So these are some ways on how to do the drills. I don't want to make this video too long. So we do another video on some drills you can actually do, because at least now you know the philosophy behind the ladder, or at least my philosophy. But it doesn't really do you much good if you don't know what drills you're supposed to do. So for today, we'll leave it at how to use this thing correctly and why everybody uses it wrong, for the most part. And the next time we take you through drills and how to do them correctly and why the speed ladder can actually be a very functional tool and not that really simple thing that we use with little kids, which most people believe the ladder is. So I hope that works out well for you. Next time I promise a shower and I'm a bit more clean. And we go from there, alright? So thanks guys, and I see you next time.